Know that Angel Reese has just been suspended for the entire season and fined over $1.2 million for what she just did, as she was caught saying the Z word on live TV.
Caitlin Clark, she will be missing Friday's game due to her continued groin injury, and Angel Reese has been suspended for Friday's game after getting assessed a technical foul Wednesday night for pimp slapping Aaliyah Edwards.
Angel Reese isn't just suspended. She isn't just frustrated. She's become the headline, the spectacle, the WNBA's chaos engine.
Angel Reese receives her 8th tech, which will prohibit her from playing against the Indiana Fever. And 2, she's in some pretty hot water with her teammates about the Chicago Tribune.
Forget the carefully planned rivalries. Forget the commissioner's marketing dreams. The story of this season has boiled down to one player who can't seem to get out of her own way. She's missing another marquee matchup, not because of injury, but because of yet another suspension. Her 8th technical foul of the year, capped off by a spinning backhand that looked more UFC than WNBA.
Today, Kathy Engelbert tried to rig the cards in the WNBA's favor by having the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky go head-to-head 5 times this season. Unfortunately for Kathy Engelbert, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese will only be going head-to-head 1 of those 5 times, and that time has come.
This wasn't the rivalry fans were promised. This wasn't Clark versus Reese, Ali versus Frazier with ponytails. It was one star sidelined by injury and the other sidelined by her own choices, leaving fans with reruns of disappointment instead of fireworks.
How did that happen? How did we get here? What she just said, the national championship game. We were not talking about Caitlin Clark before Angel Reese walked up to her, did this.
Lads, Angel Reese is currently up to be suspended. She has 7 technical fouls on the season. And if this was last season, in a 44-game season, she would have already been suspended. She would have already been suspended. And it is genuinely one of the funny things about this is that her fans are arguing that none of the texts are warranted. They are all warranted.
And while she's been absent from the court, Reese hasn't been quiet off it. She's torched teammates, mocked veterans, and even taken aim at her rookie head coach. Then, just as quickly, she moonwalked into damage control, claiming her words were misunderstood. But here's the truth. Once you call out your teammates by name, there's no stuffing that genie back into the bottle. This isn't a rivalry anymore. This is a soap opera. And Angel Reese, whether she wants it or not, is the lead actress.
Oh snap, she packed her up, bro.
So Aaliyah was
She low-key packed her up. It was so sly. Oh shoot. Dang, Angel. Man, this is horrible timing if she get this 8th technical. I think they're gonna give her a technical. Getting suspended for a game after what she said about her team basically being trash and needing new players, man. Yeah, that's a tech. Dang. So she's gonna be suspended. This is all just bad timing, bro. Bad timing.
That's right. Angel Reese didn't use the front of her hand. Angel Reese went with the back of her hand and bow right across Aaliyah Edwards' head.
And then, of course, came the suspension itself. Angel Reese didn't just earn a technical foul. She earned herself a starring role in the WNBA's unplanned drama series. The moment unfolded like something straight out of a UFC highlight reel rather than a basketball broadcast. In the heat of the game, she spun on Aaliyah Edwards and delivered a backhand so theatrical it could have been choreographed by Vince McMahon.
But I'm here to tell you, when I picked my phone up and I looked at all of these damn alerts, I say, hold up, wait a minute. It is looking spooky. Angel Reese got suspended. Angel Reese threw her team under the bus. When the hell did this happen?
Forget footwork. Forget positioning. Forget boxing out. This wasn't basketball anymore. This was Mortal Kombat, WNBA edition. And it wasn't even a casual swipe. It was a fully loaded, geometry textbook accurate wrist flick. Freeze the frame and the angles are pristine. The windup, the torque, the follow-through.
Something for you. Aaliyah Edwards is a lot of bucket.
Reese's arm didn't act like a basketball player's limb. It became a compass, sketching a flawless arc across Edwards' face. Precision, not coincidence. Aaliyah Edwards, to her credit, sold it like a Broadway veteran. She collapsed, clutched her head and gave the audience an Oscar-worthy performance.
Basically, her entire team feels attacked by her from comments that she made in the Chicago Tribune article. This is what Front Office Sports is reporting. According to the report, Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Bannum or Hailey Van Lith are capable of leading a playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky's roster with WNBA championship experience.
For a second, you half expected someone to run in with a clapperboard and yell, "Cut! Perfect take!" Fans split immediately into camps, one claiming it was just competitive fire, the other crying cheap shot. But whether you saw it as malicious intent or exaggerated flop, the referees saw enough.
Guys, Angel Reese roasted the Chicago Sky as a whole, as an organization, as a staff, a collective, and a crew, so bad to the point where it actually gave them some motivation in tonight's game.
And the league's disciplinary arm came down hard. The result? Reese collected her 8th technical of the season and a suspension that snatched her away from yet another heavily marketed showdown. In a rivalry that was supposed to drag women's basketball into must-see TV territory, Reese kept removing herself from the script. Suspensions weren't just side stories anymore, they had become the headline.
Now, the ironic thing about the Indiana Fever and the Sky is that the WNBA commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, she started this thing called Rivalry Week, of which the parameters pretty much put the Sky and the Indiana Fever as rivals, and obviously the two players being the rivals are Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Now, Angel Reese has actually only played 1 game against the Fever, and she missed 2 games due to a back injury, and this will be her 3rd game that she misses against.
The slap, however, was only one episode in the Angel Reese saga. If she wasn't doling out backhands, she was doling out insults, and no one was spared. Rachel Bannum, not a leader. Hailey Van Lith, not ready for the league. Courtney Vandersloot, too old and too broken. Kia Nurse, too busy gossiping at half court. Rebecca Allen, shouldn't even be here. It was as if Reese had decided Media Day wasn't for diplomacy, but for a stand-up roast session, Chicago edition. Every teammate became a punchline, and even the coaching staff wasn't safe. Tyler Marsh, the rookie head coach tasked with steering a sinking ship, was publicly told to coach harder, as though he'd been lounging on the bench with a latte while his team spiraled toward irrelevance. The numbers didn't help her case. The Chicago Sky sat at 9-30. Not just bad, but historically cautionary. That's not a season. That's a case study. And yet Reese carried herself as though she were above the rubble, demanding greatness while wading ankle-deep in mediocrity. The optics were brutal. It was like a fry cook at Burger King, demanding a Michelin star because he remembered to salt the fries. The message was clear. Angel Reese saw herself as the franchise savior, but the reality screamed otherwise. 2 days later, the story took another turn. Reese began her moonwalk, a slow retreat from her own words, backpedaling faster than a toddler who realizes they're about to get grounded.
This just in, Angel Reese is just back to being and make no mistake about it. She can come out and say that she apologizes for the way that people took the comments that she made, but her comments were pretty...
What once were bold critiques suddenly became misunderstandings. What once were public callouts suddenly morphed into private apologies. She loved her teammates, she insisted. Her words were misinterpreted. It was classic PR spin, the type of maneuver so predictable you could almost set your watch to it. And to drive it home, Ariel Atkins stepped forward as Reese's de facto defense attorney. Atkins, normally known for her play on the court, transformed into a mix of Maya Angelou and Dr. Phil in front of the cameras, telling the world that Reese was just a 23-year-old kid carrying the heavy burden of expectation. Heavy is the head, heavy is the crown, heavy are the 8 technical fouls. The speech was respectful, even poetic, but ultimately ineffective, because once you call out teammates by name, there is no walking it back. Apologies become wallpaper over cracked foundations. The damage remains beneath. And for every word Atkins delivered in Reese's defense, half the locker room sat in silence, knowing their names had been broadcast as part of Reese's critique. To them, this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a hit list disguised as honesty. As the dust settled, executives around the league began whispering what fans had long been speculating. On a true championship team, Reese wouldn't be the star. She wouldn't be the centerpiece, the queen, or even the rook. She'd be a supporting piece, the bishop on a chessboard. Valuable, yes. Capable, yes. But not the franchise cornerstone she insisted on being. And yet here she was, demanding reinforcements, as if she were carrying the entire league on her shoulders. The irony was glaring. Instead of driving the Sky toward relevance, she had crashed the car, blamed the tires, blamed the mechanic, and then blamed the architect who designed the road. Depending on who you asked, Reese was either the villain of the league or its misunderstood heroine. Some praised her fiery competitiveness, Others dismissed her as delusional, talking bigger than her resume could support. But no one could deny this. Angel Reese kept the WNBA in the headlines, even if for all the wrong reasons.
Baby, one thing Angel Reese knows how to do is get the internet going. For those that don't know, an article was released today by the Chicago Tribune featuring Angel Reese, and she was basically just talking about the state of the Chicago Sky, her hopes in the offseason, and basically just putting pressure on the front office in regards to building a championship team around.
Kathy Engelbert, sitting atop the WNBA as commissioner, had imagined something entirely different. The Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky rivalry was supposed to be the crown jewel of the season. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, the league's version of Ali versus Frazier, only with ponytails and three-pointers. The rivalry was supposed to generate growth, to captivate fans, to deliver storylines that transcended sports. Instead, what fans got was a blooper reel disguised as a marketing campaign. Out of 5 heavily promoted games, Clark and Reese had only faced each other once. Clark's lingering groin injury sidelined her more often than not, while Reese sabotaged her own availability with suspensions. The must-see rivalry collapsed into a must-skip rerun, and fans were left watching mismatched stand-ins where the stars should have been. It was Titanic 2, a sequel nobody asked for, destined to sink from the moment it was conceived. In the aftermath, the Chicago Sky attempted a team meeting, but rather than unity, the meeting carried the energy of an HR intervention before someone files a lawsuit. Picture it. Athletes seated in folding chairs, a franchise representative awkwardly encouraging them to share how it felt when Reese called them washed. What could anyone say in that moment? Courtney Vandersloot, a veteran who had been playing professional basketball since before TikTok existed, was reduced to listening as a rookie implied she was an expired carton of milk. Hailey Van Lith, freshly marketed as a collegiate Disney princess with a jump shot, had to swallow the suggestion that she was incapable of winning at the professional level. Rachel Banham, already a frequent target of WNBA Twitter sarcasm, heard her name dragged yet again, this time by her own teammate. This wasn't constructive criticism, this was targeted shade, thinly disguised as honesty. The Chicago Sky thought drafting Angel Reese would be a marketing slam dunk. Ticket sales, jersey sales, social media buzz. The blueprint looked perfect on paper, but instead of a rising franchise, they got a reality show, a Bravo series in sneakers, teammates subtweeting one another in press conferences, coaches aging visibly under the weight of the drama, and a locker room divided into factions. Tyler Marsh, the rookie head coach, embodied the collateral damage. Bright-eyed and eager, he likely entered the job believing he'd have the chance to build a culture, to implement strategies, to grow into a respected leader. Instead, he found himself running group therapy sessions, refereeing squabbles, and defending his own authority after being publicly undermined. He wasn't a coach anymore, he was a babysitter in a burning daycare.
All right, Black and White Sports Reporters, well, my goodness, I decided to take a few hours off yesterday afternoon prior to the start of the NFL season tonight, knowing I'm about to be pressed into action as if I wasn't already. The NFL returns tonight. Praise baby Jesus. But I'm out of it for a few hours. And I get online this morning and I find out that Angel Reese has, for lack of a better way of putting it, shit all over her teammates. Or as some people might call it, drown her teammates. And her teammates are none too happy, nor should they be.
Fans, meanwhile, became unwilling participants in the chaos. They had been promised the thrill of a great rivalry, a season-defining spectacle. What they got was one real showdown, padded with storylines of suspensions, slaps, and apologies. Instead of fireworks, they were handed damp sparklers. And the fallout was bigger than one player or one team. Reese's reputation began to spread. For every teammate she roasted, potential free agents took note. Who would willingly walk into a locker room knowing they might be the next name dropped in the media? Who would stake their career on a franchise where the supposed savior burned bridges faster than they could be built? It was like signing up for a reality show without the paycheck or the glam squad. Entertaining for the audience, exhausting for the participants. And here's the ultimate punchline, the one no amount of spin can hide. The scoreboard. 930, 9 wins, 30 losses. That's the truth carved into stone. No excuses, no cryptic Instagram captions, no misunderstood press conferences can erase it. On rest, for all the theatrics, all the backhands, all the moonwalking, the Chicago Sky remained flat out bad. Until Reese quits swinging at opponents and starts addressing her own flaws, this saga won't transform into greatness. It will only grow louder, pettier, and more absurd. Maybe it isn't another apology tour. Maybe it isn't doubling down on drama. Maybe it's the simplest answer of all, actually playing basketball. Right now, Angel Reese's dynasty dream looks less like the foundation of greatness and more like a blooper reel stuck on loop.